came across a drifting ship. I took a look inside. I found a note that someone wrote that said, take her for a ride. I set a course for sights unseen, went out to open sea. To my surprise, a bunch of sailors joined along with me. Now we're sailing on the mystery ship, and all the sailors here are really hip. There isn't any cost of membership, and all you gotta do is join our trip. Yeah, I'm the captain of the mystery ship, and I'm a-calling all aboard this ship. I'm really hoping that you'll enjoy it up on the mystery ship. So bring a friend and come along with us aboard the mystery ship.
Good evening, sailors and friends. Duska, hoist the sails. Pull up the yardarm. I'll keel haul you. Let's get a look at y'all. Let's get a look at you. There you are. There you are. I can see you now. Good evening, my friends, and welcome to another Wednesday night edition of the Mystery Ship. My name is Zoso Dude. It's called the Mystery Ship because you never know where the hell we're going to sail. And that's a fact, Jack. Never a clue. 90% of the time, neither do I, but I have got a really, really interesting show for you this evening. We are going to be talking about, oh my goodness, we're going to be all over the place. It's so deep. I don't even know how do I preface it? How do I even describe what it is that we're going to talk about? Wow. Out-of-body experiences. But way more than just that, because we've discussed that before. This is going to be truly an epic sail this evening. I've got two very, very interesting videos to share with you. I'll get more into that. I always like to share about what's going on with me in my life to get you caught up to speed while the platforms populate. Gloria Paddock comes in and shares a diamond. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much for your support of this, for your tremendous support of this program. Same with my brother Due Diligence over there. He can't walk in the door without sharing a grog, and that's what I love about him. Wow. Where have we been? What have we done? So last time we spoke, which was Sunday night, I shared with you guys that Monday, come hell or high water, I was going to spend the day. I was going to spend the freaking day editing. And that was the plan. And I actually thought that at the end of the day, somewhere around the dinner hour or so, I might do a rock and roll broadcast, because I've never done an evening broadcast. All my broadcasts are daytime ones during your Saturdays. But I thought, on Labor Day, people are sitting around burning weenies, brats, all kinds of stuff. Maybe they might enjoy some classic rock from, say, 4 to 7 during the dinner hour. You know, when you have your friends over and cracking a few beers and telling a few jokes and getting caught up with Aunt Mamie and all that stuff. That's what I thought. That's what I thought anyway. Um, didn't work out that way. Didn't quite work out that way. At 9 o'clock in the morning, there's one thing I have to do each and every week. I have to do this. I have to turn in my paperwork from my expenditures the week before. We have very nice ladies in the office where I work, but I will be the first to tell you that they are invoice Nazis. And if you so much as turn in, you can have 15 purchase orders and the accompanying receipts, and you can have all your credit card expenditures, and if you are missing one little receipt, it's Dachau. Okay? You are persona non grata. And I don't do that anymore. So I decided to seize the moment. It was Labor Day. I had the day off. I knew that no one would be in the office until Tuesday, so I'll go up and drop my paperwork off on Labor Day. And then Tuesday morning, when the girls walk in, they won't have a single thing to say, at least not to me. I'm not in the office 5 minutes, and I run into the labor foreman. He's actually the construction manager. And he goes, "Hey, man, what are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, it's my day off, man. Labor Day. Taking the day off with pay." He goes, "Man, I could really use you right now." What do you mean you could really use me? He goes, "We have a job at the school." So every summer, my company and many companies all over the whole country, this happens, okay? During the summer months is when you go in and you remodel the elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high schools, and the colleges. That way, you got 3 months to do seismic retrofits, retile the bathrooms, repaint the place, put a new roof on, whatever needs to be done. So my company alone, we worked on Southern Oregon University, the local college. We worked on Medford High School. We worked on Talent High School, and we also worked on the Talent Middle School. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot Ashland High School. We've been there for 6 months. Anyway, everybody had to be finished by yesterday, because that's when school starts. Here it is, Monday, Labor Day, and my labor foreman, my construction manager, says, "Dude, I could really use you, man. We have like 11 doors down at the middle school that need to get hung. They need their door hardware put on. They need hinges put on. They need closers put on. And we got school starting tomorrow." He goes, "I've used everybody I can use. I really need you." So I thought, what the hell? It's prevailing wage, meaning a minimum of $60 an hour. Plus, it's a holiday, so I'm going to get automatically time and a half. So that's more like $90 an hour. I'm like, what the hell? I wasn't really doing much with my day off anyway, so I went in and I worked. And you take one for the team, man. Every now and then you got to help out when they've done a lot for me. If that's the least I can do to help them out, then so be it. So that is why you never saw any videos come out on Monday, and that's why I didn't host a classic rock show on Monday night. Just your brother Zoe worked his ass off. So Tuesday morning I start up at it's not a new job. There was a job in progress, and due to some complications, they needed to put a new superintendent on it. So I got the nod, and I am down there right now trying to get this thing to the finish line. I have like 10 days to hand over the keys. So I'm right at the final throes of just a job that was kind of poorly managed. And bottom line, Bottom line is, I need to get my car running. So last week, last Friday, I went and picked up my new radiator. I think I shared with you. I found out that the brand new radiator that I ordered from Napa came in with the wrong fitting on the bottom, and that my transmission cooler line that goes into the radiator didn't match up. I had a male, that one had a male. I was screwed. There's no adapter, no conceivable adapter. So Tuesday morning, I load up my radiator and I strap it to my Harley, the only thing I have to drive, and I drop it off at Napa. And I said, look, just get me the right freaking radiator. So he looked. I brought him both fittings. I showed him exactly what I have. I had a little piece of pipe with the correct fitting on it. I said, this is what my hose looks like, and this is what the one you sold me looks like. I need that to look like this. So send this back and get me the one that works. I know they make them because the last radiator I ordered came in correct. About 4 hours later, 5 hours later, I get a phone call from Napa, and the guy says, hey, I got you all hooked up. Just come and pick it up when at the end of the day. And I said, okay, I'll be there after work. So here it is, Tuesday. I've already worked all day, and I'm flying to go pick up my radiator because last night, I'm putting the freaking radiator in because I need a vehicle. I need to be able to transport tools. I get down to Napa, and I find out that he didn't exchange the radiator for me. What he did is he concocted a cockamamie little hose that on one end has the fitting that I gave him that will screw onto the radiator that he sold me. And then he gave me 2 hose clamps, little piece of hose, and then he gave me a female version that mine would screw into. And he said, look, you can make this any length you want. I just looked at him. I said, what, you just couldn't order me the right radiator? You want me to use a jury-rigged little I said, just give it to me. So I took it home and I put it in and I worked on it. I mean, it didn't take 45 minutes to put the radiator in. The problem is that the jury-rigged little fitting that he sold me leaks and leaked and leaked. And, every time I go to tighten it, I've got to take out the fan, the electric fan, take that out, tighten it up, fire up the car again. Okay, it's not leaking. I put the fan back in. I let it warm up a little bit. I look down. It's freaking leaking again. I got to take the fan out, fucking tighten it up some more. Bottom line is I'm driving it, and while it's leaking, it's pissing out tranny fluid, but it's not a solid stream. It drops a drop, like 2 drops a minute. So for the meantime, I'm going to keep an eye on my tranny fluid level and pour more Bud Light in there if it needs it. And at least I have something to drive. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to order the right freaking radiator from somebody else and just throw this one in the trash pile with the other broken radiator. So that means I will have purchased 3 radiators to get my freaking car running again. I'm just pissed. Anyway, it's nice to be driving the car again. It's nice to have air conditioning. It was 100 and something today. It's 96 right now, and it is absolutely sweltering in this garage. Let's say some hellos before we take a quick break and dive into tonight's program, because I need every minute. I need every minute tonight. It's 2 hours to bring this to you because, folks, this is some heavy shit, man. You know that picture of Alice in Wonderland sitting next to Dorothy with her little pup? And Alice turns to Dorothy and says, "I've seen some heavy shit, man." That's where we're going tonight. We're going into the heavy shit. Let's say some hellos around the house. Round the house. Over at YouTube. Holy smokes. Look at this. Look at this. We've got wonderful sailors showing up. Denise, how are you doing? How come you aren't blue? You are blue now, my dear. You are blue now. Great to see you. Phil Brad in the house. Abe Sinclair was on the air once. Abe, you're going to love tonight's program. You are going to freaking love tonight's program. Tonight is about out-of-body experiences. It is about altered states of consciousness. It is about astral planing and all of that. We're looking into the Monroe Institute and how the CIA took over the Monroe Institute's plans. It's going to be really freaking a mind blower for most of you guys. Who else is hanging out over in YouTube land? Andrew Schroeder, nice to have you aboard. Archie's ghost in the house. Oh, Archie, it's all good, baby. I mean, I live to turn wrenches. I enjoy working on cars. I truly do. It's fun for me. I mean, paying somebody else to do it when I can do it myself in 15 minutes, piece of cake. It's just the aggravation of, getting the wrong radiator 3 times. Yeah. Yep. Good to see you guys hanging over at YouTube. Thanks for being there. How about a pilled foxhole, the home of free speech in America? We have got no shortage of sailors over there. Angry Mary is in the house. She says, Zoso saved me from watching something else. I'm so glad you're here, Mary. I am so glad you decided to hang out with us. Thanks for being here. Crazy Chuck with a K is with us. Due Diligence in the house. Safety Net 820 is with us. M1911 Zoom in the house. Willie Fix-It sporting the coolest sticker ever. Zoom Zoom. Is that a Mazda? That car going over the mountain? That's a little Zoom Zoom right there. LT, how you doing, my man? Great to see you. Smokey Randy. Should have bought a Honda. Oh, man, much more reliable than Jeeps. Randy, what am I going to do with you, man? John Otter is in the house. Great to see you. Smart Poker is with us. Belush. I spend like a sailor when it's on the company dime. Good to see you, buddy. Great to see you. Always go. Mrs. Zosa. Loving the topic right up my alley. Mrs. Zoso in the house. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Be on your best behaviors, though. Okay. Great to see all you people hanging out over at Pilled Foxhole. Thank you for being there. It means a lot. Who do we have hanging over at D Live? Gloria Paddock, again with the diamond, again with the diamond, again with 3 diamonds. Lynn Winters bringing the love. Bad Zoot in the house sharing the love. Amethyst Cat sharing the love. Ladies. Lynn Winters says it's 105 in Cali. Woo! Jayla 17 is with us. Good to see you, my friend. Wow. I saw Spud. He dropped in. He said he's going to be lurking while showering, and that's good. I could, when there was a southern draft, I could tell that he's been hanging out in the garage too long. No, I'm kidding. Rick Carmen, that's from last week. All right, welcome aboard, sailors. Great to have all of you over there. How about Rumble? We got anybody rumbling over there? Are we rumbling? We've got 7 rumblers. Maddie F and B is in the house. John Otter is over there. Maddie says Twitch is glitchy, so I'm here tonight. Glad to have you, buddy. Glad to have you aboard. Folks, buckle up. Tonight, I am going to hit you with a couple of short videos, which is really going to set the premise for what we are going to discuss this evening. It's really kind of mind expanding. I think you're going to love it. And I really am looking forward to your phone calls at the end, because I want to know what you think of this topic, because it's crazy. It's a crazy little rabbit hole I'm going to take you down tonight. I think you're going to be very glad you were here aboard the mystery ship. All right, your brother Zoe is going to find a cute little video to play for the next few minutes. because I need to figure out a way to open up my next Coca-Cola bottle. And while I'm doing that, you guys can just watch. Yeah, go ahead and watch this one. You've watched it before. You've watched it before, but this way you know how long it is. Okay, you got enough time to take the dog outside, run to the bathroom, refresh your drink like I'm going to. See, I brought ice. I got extra Coke. I'm prepared. I'm a prepared sailor. Not prepared like deviled eggs, but kind of prepared. All right. I'll see you on the other side of this. You got like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. We'll see you then. We are back. We are back aboard the mystery ship. Back aboard. All right, where do I start tonight? There's so many places I want to start, but my notes tell me I need to start right here. I have been sharing lately In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest on our program, a wonderful guy by the name of Abe Sinclair. And Abe shared, we were talking about the benefits of float therapy, relaxation therapy, hydrotherapy, whatever you want to call it. I know that he hates whatever terminology I use, but that's okay. He forgives me. He's that kind of guy. So it is a way to just tune out, tune in, tune on, turn out, tune in, turn on, drop out. That's it. You just completely relax your mind to a point where you're not thinking about anything. You are just in a complete state of om. And I shared with Abe that on my road journey, many nights that I was holed up in hotel rooms or sometimes in people's houses. At Belushi's house, I did it. I think I did it at maybe at Prayer Warrior Girl's house. There are YouTube things that you can play that, let me get rid of the harbor sounds. We don't need those anymore. We don't need those no more. There are YouTube things you can play that last 8 hours, and what it is it is beta themes, it is theta themes, all it is sound vibration. Sound vibration that puts you into the zone, okay? The zone. I have had great success using these. It turns out that it is the vibrations, it is the sound, it's the reverberation that soothes the savage beast. That is what puts you into a state of just relaxation. The gentleman, we're going to watch 2 pieces of video tonight. I would like you to put an X in the chat tonight if you have heard about something called the Monroe Institute. The Monroe Institute of Virginia. Has anyone heard of the Monroe Institute of Virginia? If you have, put an X in the chat. And it doesn't matter if you haven't. It's perfectly okay. You may have heard of it but don't have a clue what it is. But I just want to know if you're familiar with the name. That's all. Have you heard of the Monroe Institute? So, Robert A. Monroe was a radio broadcaster. And in the early 50s, he started experimenting with frequency, much like Nikola Tesla had experimented with frequency, much like Dr. Royce Rife had experimented with frequency. Dr. Rife was able to cure cancer by treating cancer cells with certain frequencies. Some cancer cells didn't quite respond, so he would just tweak the frequency a little bit, and he'd get them. And, of course, they went in and demoed his whole place. Can't have that. You can't have any kind of alternative therapy that works, right? No, we just want to feed you pills and give you treatments. We want to treat you. We don't want to cure you. Monroe is a very interesting character. A quick synopsis here of the Monroe Institute. In 1962, Robert Monroe Enterprises moved to Virginia and a few years later changed the corporate name to Monroe Industries, from the Institute to Industries. In this location, it became active in radio station ownership, cable television, and later in the production and sale of audio cassettes. These cassettes were practical expressions of the discoveries he made earlier and ongoing corporate research. So, in a nutshell, what Robert Monroe found is that he was experimenting with frequencies, and he found frequencies that would, when he would listen to them, like in headphones, we're talking early 50s, people. The frequencies would just absolutely knock him out, put him to sleep. He found other frequencies that livened him up. I mean, lit him up like a freaking Roman candle. Then again, with continued research, he found frequencies that allowed him to leave his body. When it happened at first, you can imagine, he was a little bit freaked out. I'm not going to paraphrase this. I'm going to play a piece of videotape where he basically describes what it is that he did. So why hear it from someone who's just repeating somebody else? I want you to watch this, and then we're going to watch another very interesting videotape. The good old the Y files, the Y files. You guys, with that annoying little goldfish. I'm sorry that has to be part of it, but the basic premise of what they talk about is pertinent to tonight's discussion. I personally have been I have been aware of Henry Ford. Henry Ford, the car magnate, used the power of suggestion to attain everything he wanted in his life. Riches, success. And it's a mere matter of, it's just, folks, it's exactly like we say every Sunday night when we pray for one another. If you believe in the words that you are speaking, in the sound that you are putting out into the ether, if you have 100% belief that what you are stating is a matter of fact, it will happen. There's a very famous author who has a book called, instead of You'll See It When You Believe It, his book is entitled You'll Believe It When You See It. Or, excuse me, You'll See It When You Believe It. And it's very true. Just like that, I've used this thousands and thousands and thousands of times when Christ turned to Peter and they looked at the withering fig tree, and Peter was just astounded that the tree was all withered, and Christ said, Peter, if you just believe, you could cast that mountain into the sea. Believing is everything. Well, believing is the primary necessity in the power of suggestion. I have been doing these experiments at night. I have been stating affirmations. I do them in the evening, and I do them in the morning, and I say them out loud. And I say things like, I am going to be healthy. No. I am healthy. I'm as healthy as I'll ever be. I am successful. I foresee great things coming my way. And I state this over and over and over and over again just before I fall asleep, because it gets it deep into my brain, and then I go to sleep. I go into my deep sleep thinking those thoughts, thinking that I am going to be successful. I'm as healthy as a freaking horse. I've got everything in the world to live for, and I am just the happiest little guy you ever met in your life. And I believe it. I wake up in the morning choosing joy each and every day. And no one can rob me of that joy. No one. Although they try. This gentleman took the concept. He took the concept of believing to all new levels. I'm sure you've heard out there that there are many, mostly agnostics, who seem to think that this experience, and I loathe it. I loathe it when people refer to this place that we exist as a realm, okay? It's not a it's not a video game. I don't think we live in a realm. I really don't. But it is possible. It is possible that this experience that we are currently experiencing, me pinching myself right now and feeling that pinch, could be it could be just all in my consciousness. I may be sharing my consciousness with you. We may be sharing the consciousness of the universe all together, and we are all perceiving this reality that we are living in because we want to. It feels good. I want you to watch this videotape. This is a very quick, it's like 10 minutes. But this is Robert Monroe being interviewed, and he shares the beginnings of the Monroe Institute, how he first learned to have out-of-body experiences, and what he perceived, what he learned by doing it over and over and over again. So first he did it on himself, okay? He experimented only on himself using frequencies which would make him basically leave his body. Then he started doing it once he quote unquote mastered it. He started doing it to others to get their experience. And then, wouldn't you know it, the CIA came knocking and said, "Oh, you have a way to have people leave this consciousness as we know it and go somewhere else?" Basically, what you and I would probably term as I really am not. I'm not a fan of astral projection, but well, just watch this. Just watch this. You will enjoy this, and this is going to set the stage for the rest of the evening. Pay very close attention, okay? Because this gets deep very quickly. Not too terribly deep. The next video gets deep in a hurry. Okay? This video is just going to set the stage, okay? No, I don't want you to have any distractions. All right? Start paying attention, and start paying attention right now.
And the author of this book, Journeys Out of the Body. Would you welcome Robert Monroe? What is an out-of-body experience?
Let's start with this very important question. What is an out-of-the-body experience?
What is it? Well, it's best described as a state of consciousness awareness that does not depend on physical sensory input, meaning it is acting separate and apart from your physical body. Recent studies indicated that 25% of the population in the United States remembers having at least one spontaneous out-of-body experience. There's been a lot of scientific discussion as to what that is, and our religions have given it a name too. But basically, you are able to exercise facsimiles is the best word of the sensory input that you have in the physical sense, in the physical continuity is the word. So if you can think of that you are perceiving and separate and apart from this physical mechanism that provides you with this input, you're able to see, for example, and you are able to hear. That out-of-body consciousness, as it were, is able to be, well, let's say 2 inches away from the physical, or if you want to put it at the extreme, you can go to Mars and cruise around Mars and see what's going on there. It's that unlimited.
Now, there are those who would refer to this as the astral body. Would that be a good term to use here?
Well, we don't like it, and the reason we don't like it is because it has sort of an occult connotation to it. in the sense that it was used in a time sort of prior to the scientific model that we attempt to follow. So we way back in the early 60s came up with the OB, out-of-body experiences. We were and are professional sound people. In other words, sound was our business, the production of sound in various ways. So we turned to sound quite naturally in order to do these things. First of all, in order to find out how we could begin to control the out-of-body experience, we began to use sound. Sound to affect consciousness. We soon learned that by using known brainwave frequencies and converting them into what sound amplitudes, now not frequency but sound amplitudes, we were able to induce sleep very easily and to stay awake very easily. And that was the beginning. Those are categories of consciousness. And we used that running frequency of amplitude to create a resonance by listening to it. And these induce various states of consciousness, basically. We call it a frequency following response because you can identify them by taking an EEG, a brainwave study, and see these particular patterns within the brain. So if you wanted a person to go to sleep, you would feed a particular system of theta and delta waves, and they would get sleepy. And then as we went on, we found a better way to do it, because these brainwave frequencies that are common in the human brain are of a frequency that is lower than human hearing. Let's use an illustration that here's an 8 hertz signal, which means 8 cycles per second, that we cannot hear. So how to get it into the human brain other than using an amplitude method? We found the binaural beat would work very beautifully in that respect. But in essence, it works this way. If we put a 100 hertz audio signal, which you can hear, and put it in one ear, and put a 108 hertz signal in the other ear, the differential between those two would be an 8 hertz signal. When we used that and had a person listen to it, the brain would synthesize that 8 hertz frequency. The brain wouldn't hear it, incidentally, but the electrical signals in the brain synthesize that 8 hertz differential. A slight variation of it as far as the Schumann resonance is the one that we as humans grew up with through millions of years, and it will create a form of physical relaxation. There are different kinds of meditative states. For example, years back there was a great to-do about getting into the alpha state, and it was, let's get ourselves into alpha. Alpha is just a state of conscious relaxation, and we have not found it interesting enough to play with.
What about theta?
Theta is a state where a lot of creativity occurs in theta. It's great for ideas, word pictures, and things like that. The crossover state between this type of consciousness and the consciousness of delta sleep. Because of that, you are partially freed of the restrictions that are upon you during this normal wakefulness here. And as a result, you are freed, your mind is freed to perceive in ways that it has not perceived before. And that's where a lot of meditation takes place.
So you like to look at this thing in a pragmatic way, I guess, scientifically speaking.
Very much.
All right, now let's say then pragmatically, what would be the purpose of an out-of-the-body experience then?
Well, that's the enigma, the question. That took me a lot of work to find out what value it had, if any. And the second thing is that through the years, what purpose, that's open to a lot of discussion. There have been all sorts of ways that one can use it and one does use it. I think the key thing is to recognize that we are firmly sure now that everyone goes out of their body during what we call delta sleep or deep sleep. But that's a sleep where you are at very low level of physical response. And it's that deep sleep that we all have during our sleep cycle for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes and maybe sometimes more. We all have cycles of delta. We have cycles of an hour-and-a-half cycle of sleep, a pattern we have all during our whole sleep period. But a part of that is the delta sleep state. And we sort of drift down to that delta state, and then we get there, and then we become totally inert. Blood pressure goes down, temperature goes down, and we respond very little to any external stimulant. We found in lab studies that a person in the out-of-body state resembles near perfectly the profile of delta sleep.
All right, now the difference, of course, is their consciousness. Is that right?
That's true. A person in the out-of-body state, by a peculiar kind of means of establishing a relationship with the physical body, can report in while they're in the out-of-body state.
All right, now let me stop for a second. what you're saying is that people that you have worked with recorded out-of-body experiences. Is that correct?
That's true. Hmm.
Those experiences from those people are such that they're actually able to respond while they are out of body. What do we know about that then?
They report what they're doing and how they're doing. Some very few, and it is few, you can communicate back to them. In other words, they're using their hearing and vocal means to, in turn, stay in contact with you. It's a learned thing, a thing that you have to learn. And not everyone can do it.
Now, if an EEG looks at a person who is talking to you during this state, does the EEG show delta still?
It shows delta superimposed with a beta signal, or a composite beta signal, that indicates a part of the brain is operating to do this communication process.
All right, now that's very interesting. I presume that was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, the speech center becomes activated.
Okay, so let's come back then to this question then that I started out with. I'm sure, Robert, that this question was asked when, for example, Columbus went to the New World. People said, why would you want to go there? So I'm sure that this question is being asked now to you. Why would people want to do this type of research?
Well, I had to face that question all the way back in, would you believe it, back in 1958 and 59, which is a long ways back. I desperately need to learn how to control it, because I would suddenly move out of my body anytime I would lie down, and that became very embarrassing and very frightening. And I had to learn how to control it. Conventional science had no answer whatsoever for that. My close friends, psychologists and psychiatrists, didn't have the answer either. So we set up an R&D program in my company trying to find out answers for this. And one of the things that happened, it took, for example, a full year of validation and documentation of where I went and what I did and what I perceived in order for me to recognize that it was nothing more than an hallucination. So it's not that easy to transfer it from what might be a dream or an hallucination into a reality. It just takes that left brain of ours. It takes sometimes a great deal of evidence to convince it.
All right, are you saying then that when a person first has an out-of-body experience, they may not be able to logically understand what has happened?
That's quite true. And we rationalized it away because we just don't have culturally any answer for it. The best way I can describe that is, for example, that we now know that anyone who has a flying dream is symbolizing an out-of-body state. They can't identify it any other way, so they have a flying dream. And some people have to rationalize it by say they were in an airplane.
So they're actually experiencing the feeling of free flight,
Mm-hmm.
and then through the dream they interpret it in whatever way they can through their logic.
Yes, and virtually all cases that we've encountered where a person has a falling dream, and that's re-entering the physical body. You can pick up hundreds of thousands of people who have had a falling dream where they fall and wake up, and that's re-entering the physical. Their interpretation of it, because they are totally unaware of it, has to translate it somehow, so they do the best they can.
So what he's saying essentially is that we are so in tune with this meat suit of ours that even though each and every one of us possess the ability to do, if you want to call it astral project, we all have the ability to leave our bodies and go different places through our subconscious, or perhaps our consciousness is able to leave the meat suit and go for a ride anywhere we want, as long as we realize that we are in control of the situation. But what he is suggesting here is that most people can't even fathom the idea of doing that because they can't let go. Okay? They cannot let go. And that is, I alluded to this when I was doing the shows about flotation tanks, and how I was very curious as to what it would be like to maybe take like DMT and do a float. Or I mean, I'm interested in finding out the parameters of my mind. How far can I go and still be me? And this interview with this guy, and this is from many years ago. I think this was done in the early '60s. This interview with Robert Monroe. He first experimented on himself. As he shared, he got to the point where every time he laid down, he left his body, and it started getting freaky for him. He went to his psychologist buddies. He went to his doctor buddies. Nobody could explain to him what the hell he was doing, because it was kind of an unknown science at the time. But what we know now to be remote viewing is simply a heightened command of your ability, as he has, to leave your body anytime you want and go somewhere. And that's what the Monroe Institute was all about. It was developing people's ability to basically remote view. The U.S. government said, my God, we could take a dozen of these, psychic gurus that we've got coming out of the Monroe Institute and send them over to Russia to spy on what it is they're doing over there. Obviously, Cold War played a huge bit in this, but the CIA got involved. They found out about what it was he had going on, and they said, we'd like a piece of this. We would like a piece of this. Which kind of leads us to the next video that I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to play the whole one on this next video, because it is quite a bit more involved. And here, I saw that somebody was sharing that, I've heard all this before. Well, one thing I can promise you is you haven't heard this next part before, okay? The government immediately realized how valuable it would be to have a bunch of remote viewers on their payroll. And they went to Monroe and got everything from him that they could to take it under their wing, because basically, as I kind of, any one of us actually have the ability to do this. The only thing hampering us from leaving our bodies each and every night is the fact that we are comfortable in this meat suit of ours. Okay? We call it home. It feels good. All of the wonderful sensations that we know and love, the feeling of love, the grooviness of getting high, the fun of sex, all the things that turn us on in this experience are things that we're not really in a hurry to let go of, because it feels like home to us. But the fact is, if we could let our hair down, so to speak, we might be able to explore greater possibilities. We might be able to learn things, a cure for cancer, by rising to higher frequencies and going out and seeing what is out there. It's kind of wild, okay? I'm going to fast forward to this next video, because this is around an item called the gateway process. If you've heard of the gateway process, then put an X in the chat. I want to know, because that's basically where the CIA came in and said, okay, we're going to put this guy in charge of this project. It's going to be called the gateway process. And Monroe, you're going to show him everything you know, and then we'll take it from there. And that's exactly what they did. Now, I apologize that I don't have a more straightforward factual representation of this. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, that these guys do a fair job over at the Y-Files. Okay, the Y-Files? Why does it seem so strange saying the Y-Files? If it wasn't for the stupid fish, I would say this is one of my favorite little programs on YouTube. But this guy did his homework in this report, and we got just enough time to watch it and then turn on the phones. And I really want to know what you guys think about this, because this starts to get interesting, really, really interesting. Let's take a gander at what this guy has to say. Let's go for a little ride.
The United States military is always looking for new ways to create super soldiers. They use performance-enhancing and mind-altering drugs. They're currently experimenting with brain implant technology. They've even explored genetic engineering to try and breed the perfect soldier. But those are nothing compared to what happened in 1983, when Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell submitted a very unusual and detailed report to U.S. Army intelligence. It was called Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process. This is a step-by-step guide on how to achieve an out-of-body experience for the purpose of intelligence gathering. But Colonel McDonnell's report went much further than that. An advanced gateway participant can not just project their consciousness to a different place, they could pull their consciousness completely out of this reality. They could travel anywhere in the universe and at any point in time. The report revealed that our universe doesn't actually exist. It's a construct created by our mind. By using the gateway process, you can exit the construct and see reality for what it really is. The 30-page gateway report was immediately classified for one simple reason. Anyone can learn to do it. Even you. Colonel McDonnell's analysis and assessment of gateway process gets right to the point. There are alternate states of reality and other dimensions that exist outside our physical world and outside of time itself.
Whoa, it sounds like I'm gonna need a brain bucket for this one.
Oh yeah, this is the strangest military report I've ever read. I'm surprised it's not still classified. According to the report, we can use the gateway process to access other dimensions. Now, if you think that sounds paranormal or like New Age mumbo-jumbo, you're not alone. Even Colonel McDonnell was aware that this was the impression his report would give. So he starts off by grounding his research in science. McDonnell consults Itzhak Bentov, a well-respected biomedical engineer, to help him understand the physical aspect of the process. He uses quantum mechanics to describe the nature of human consciousness, and he employs both classical and theoretical physics to explain the out-of-body phenomenon. But most importantly, the report gives step-by-step instructions on how to have a gateway experience. Follow these instructions and you could learn to astrally project, visit other dimensions, and even slip in and out of time. This is why the military was drawn to it and studied it for years. If the United States could train a unit of psychic spies that could project their consciousness anywhere unnoticed, that would be very effective at gathering intelligence. Still, McDonnell knew his report would be difficult to believe, but he really thought it could be done.
There is a sound, rational basis in terms of physical science parameters for considering Gateway to be plausible in terms of its essential objectives. Intuitional insights of not only personal but of a practical and professional nature would seem to be within bounds of reasonable expectations.
My brain bucket, it's gonna fill up fast.
It is. You better have a spare bucket handy. The Gateway process is a training system developed in the 70s by the Monroe Institute in Virginia. Colonel McDonnell, along with other military personnel, went through the week-long training process that anyone can do, even today. But the Gateway report ended with a final warning that nobody really expected. Because this method is accessible to anyone, Colonel McDonnell warned that the military should be prepared for encounters with intelligent and non-friendly entities that could exist outside the boundaries of time and space. In other words, a psychic war. Even though anyone can learn the Gateway method, you can't just snap your fingers and escape reality. There is some foundation work you have to do first.
Well, no matter what reality you're in, ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
Right. You have to learn relaxation techniques, meditation, and extreme focus. You also have to set all doubt aside and let your mind be open to a completely new way of thinking. Only once you master these techniques can you begin to comprehend the true nature of reality. Your life, the earth, the universe, and everything in it is an illusion created by your mind.
Solid matter, in the strict construction of the term, simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids, which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds.
There is no solid matter. Everything that exists is a form of energy vibrating at extremely fast frequencies, from the largest objects in the universe down to atoms and subatomic particles and everything in between. It's all energy.
The point to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all, is, like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. So-called states of matter are actually variances in energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy.
Our consciousness is tuned into the frequencies of energy that make up the world that we see, but we only perceive a small percentage of the energy that actually exists all around us. Think of tuning a radio. If you tune into a rock station, you only hear music broadcast on that channel. Now, of course, there are lots of other channels with all different kinds of music, but your radio doesn't play them all at once, only the single station it's tuned into. Our brains are like that radio, designed to filter out everything except for the energy that creates our reality. And just like a radio converts energy into sound, our brains convert this universal energy into things we can see and hear and taste and touch. But none of the solid matter around us is actually there. Our senses create the illusion of matter so that we can experience this reality in a way that we can understand. Now, according to the Gateway Report, we're all living in a shared universal hologram.
The universe is composed of interacting energy fields. It is in and of itself one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. According to the theories of Carl Pribram, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, and David Bohm, a physicist at the University of London, the human mind is also a hologram, which attunes itself to the universal hologram and achieves the state, which we call consciousness.
The gateway process teaches you to turn off the filter in your brain and gives you access to alternate states of reality and lets you escape space-time altogether. And anyone can learn to do this. You don't need to decalcify your pineal gland or spend years at a Buddhist monastery. You don't need a shaman or a guru or mind-altering drugs. You just need headphones. The gateway process is done by listening to sound.
Yeah, but tell me more about those mind-altering drugs.
In the 1950s, New York broadcasting executive Robert Monroe found evidence that different types of sound could affect the human mind in different ways. Some sound patterns would make you sleepy. Another would make you alert. Some sound can give you anxiety. Other sounds are very relaxing.
Well, people have said my voice is relaxing.
Then you're not reading the comments. Using this discovery, Monroe began experimenting with hypnopedia, or sleep learning. Monroe was convinced that there was a connection between sound waves and not just a person's mood, but their ability to learn and retain information. Now, one night while trying a sleep learning technique, Monroe had an experience that was unexpected but would change his life. While listening to a specific sound frequency, his body slowly became paralyzed. He then started to feel a vibration that became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, he was awash in bright white light. Then a sound, or maybe just a sensation, of a rush of air that became a roar so loud it was unbearable. Then, in an instant, everything was quiet. The vibration stopped, the light dissipated, and Robert Monroe found himself in his bedroom floating above his sleeping body. There was no name for this at the time, but later became known as an OBE, an out-of-body experience, a term that Monroe himself popularized. Though this OBE happened completely by accident, he was able to use sound to replicate the experience 9 times over the next 6 weeks. Monroe wrote about the experience in his 1971 book, Journeys Out of the Body. He went on to found the Monroe Institute and became a prominent researcher in the field of human consciousness. Soon Monroe discovered that while out of his body, he could identify, access, and sustain different states of consciousness. This is done by synchronizing the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Now, even though the brain functions as a whole, its different parts serve different functions, as do its 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is traditionally associated with logic and reason, perception, and focus. The right hemisphere is responsible for emotion, creativity, and intuition.
So it's like a sideways mullet.
A sideways mullet? What are you talking about?
A mullet, you know, business in the front, but a party in the back. Two pieces of your brain are like that. But a mullet is the front and the back, and the brain is left and right. So the mullet, it's sideways. I'm sorry, all this about dimensions and realities and mullets, it's hard to contribute.
The left hemisphere of the brain tends to be more active in the beta frequency range of 13 to 30 hertz, which is associated with alertness, attention, and cognitive control. The right hemisphere is active in the alpha frequency range, 8 to 13 hertz, which is associated with relaxation, creativity, and spatial processing. The right brain operates much more slowly than the left.
Sideways mullet.
By listening to certain sounds, the gateway process synchronizes both hemispheres using a technique called hemisync.
Fundamentally, the gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres, so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere, so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers.
The gateway.
So the deeper that you go into this, the more that you are able to tune out space and time as we know it. It always makes me think of Leon Russell, the master of space and time. If you can tune out your addiction to space and time, that's where we live right now. How many? I don't know. We'd have to go back quite a ways. One of the earliest programs I did on the Mystery Ship, I invited a dear friend of mine. She called in the other night and won one of those patches. Oh, by the way, all those patches went out in the mail. You should be receiving them any old time. They're all in the mail on their way to you. Leah Worth, my friend Leah Worth, was tuned in, and she shared with us her near-death experience. She left her body and went to heaven, where Jesus himself showed her all around heaven, showed her the house that they were building for her, showed her the beautiful tables of incredible food with banquets getting ready to be eaten, and showed her things like animals in heaven that we don't have here on earth. And she had no idea how long she was there. When she did, they eventually told her, look, you need to go back. You have unfinished business back where they keep record of space and time. And she didn't want to go back. She was having a perfectly wonderful time where she was. But she said in heaven, as she knows it, there is no time. Time doesn't exist. You just are. You just are. They're going to get a little deeper into this, but the principle behind this is being able to walk away from space and time, and we know it as we know it, so that you can exit this meat suit temporarily. The problem is all of us have an extraordinary addiction to this meat suit. It means something to us. We have things called memories and reasons for wanting to be here. Those who say that they have lived multiple lives. I remember the first time I was reading about, I think I saw Shirley MacLaine talking about her past lives, and I thought, what a crock of shit. I mean, that's the first thing I thought. What a crock of freaking crap. But as I have become more open-minded, it would appear that we as spirits, we as souls, right? We are energy. And we know that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just is. We know that the second that a sperm meets an ovum in a woman's body, there is, scientists have recorded, a flash of light, like energy not being created, but transforming, coming from a different dimension and entering this one. And it's that same method of transport when a child is conceived that these guys are suggesting when you leave your body. It's a matter of being able to disassociate yourself from Albert J. Sella, the meat suit. Okay? This stuff fascinates me. I am held captive by this stuff because I'm just really curious by nature. This stuff seems plausible to me. Let's get a little bit more. Let's get a little bit deeper into what they have to share about the Gateway program.
The report describes Hemisync as a lamp versus a laser. The natural state of the human mind is like a lamp that emits light, but it's chaotic and messy and uneven over a large area. Hemisync lets the mind operate like a laser, producing a focused stream of energy. According to Gateway, when the frequency and amplitude of the human brain are brought into sync, it's possible to accelerate and raise the vibrational levels of the mind. As the mind resonates higher and higher, it can synchronize with the more complex energy levels in the universe. At these levels, the mind is capable of processing information in the same way it processes the energy of our current reality. In other words, you can see and feel and understand these other states of reality as easily as you understand this one. But you can do more than understand reality. You can learn to change it, control it, and bend it to your will, like Neo in The Matrix, or like God. According to Colonel McDonald's Gateway report, understanding how human consciousness could exist outside the physical body requires an understanding of holographic theory, or the holographic principle.
Uh-oh, let me get my bucket ready.
Energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a three-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram.
The report says that holograms are capable of encoding so much detail that if you made a holographic projection of a glass of swamp water, you could put the hologram, not the water, the hologram under a microscope and see microscopic organisms, actually holograms of microscopic organisms. Now this sounds nuts, but the CIA was onto something big. If you watched our episode on simulation theory, you'll remember John Wheeler and his delayed choice double slit experiment. The video has more details, but in short, Wheeler showed that particles seem to be able to change their state by going back in time. Now, Wheeler felt that the universe wasn't necessarily made up of matter and energy, but instead, the universe is made up of information. Our hologram uses this information to create our three-dimensional universe. And holographic theory is a well-established idea in theoretical physics and widely accepted by many physicists. I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, and I'd like to do a whole episode on this, so if you'd like to see that, email me or let me know in the comments. Anyway, in order to create our hologram from information, that information has to be exchanged. Particles can bounce off each other, can affect each other's speed, carry energy to each other, and that's how they exchange information. But here's where the Gateway report goes a step further. It says that this information can be exchanged not just in our universe, but between dimensions, implying that there are dimensions of reality yet to be discovered. His theory raises questions about the interaction between human consciousness and the holographic universe. Like, can our consciousness, which is energy, also exchange information with other dimensions? The Gateway process says that yes, it can. But there's more. McDonald argues that human beings are not passive receivers of the information floating around the universe. We participate in this information. And by training the way we perceive and process the information that creates our reality, we can actually change reality itself. And this technique is called patterning.
The technique of patterning recognizes the fact that since consciousness is the source of all reality, Our thoughts have the power to influence reality, if those thoughts can be projected with adequate intensity.
Think about the concept of The Secret and the law of attraction, which says that we can make things happen by focusing our imagination on a desirable outcome. But how? How do we allow our consciousness to access this other information? The Planck distance is about 1.6 times 10 to the negative 35 meters, so really small. It's the smallest possible unit of length that has any physical meaning in the universe. At this scale, the laws of physics break down. But what if it's not the smallest? In his report, Colonel McDonald speculates that by using the gateway process to accelerate brainwave frequencies, humans may be able to break the physical limitation of the Planck distance. McDonald suggests that consciousness could, for an instant, enter the space beyond human perception. He calls this clicking out of reality.
It is true that when, for an infinitesimally brief instant, that energy reaches one of its 2 points of rest, it clicks out of time-space and joins infinity. That critical step out of time-space occurs when the speed of the oscillation drops below Planck's distance. To use the words of Bentoff, quantum mechanics tell us that when distances go below Planck's distance, we enter, in effect, a new world.
So I say we try it. Grab some headphones and let's see what's out there. Okay, don't worry, we're not really going to escape reality, at least not today. I just want to show you how the gateway process actually works. The program combines two techniques. The first is frequency following response, or FFR. FFR involves introducing a frequency through headphones, which the brain tries to mimic by adjusting its brainwaves. The second technique is beat frequency. You might have heard this called binaural beats. This involves playing different frequencies in each ear. The brain then chooses to hear the difference between them. For example, the sounds at 4 hertz are too low for you to hear. But if you listen to 100 hertz through the right ear and 104 hertz in the left ear, your brain can detect and hear the difference. In this case, 4 hertz. And here's how it sounds. This is the left ear. Listen how the tone is steady.
Okay, I'm with you.
Please don't talk during this part. We're trying to focus on the sound. Now, a steady tone in the right ear. We play them together, and you can hear the oscillation between the two frequencies, like a vibrato.
I hear it.
You're gonna blow out their ears.
Sorry. I get excited when I think I'm gonna travel to other dimensions.
Remember, your left brain is your logical and analytical side. Before information is processed by your right brain, which is the emotional and creative side, your left brain takes a look at the information. It filters it and tries to make sense of it before it accepts the information. But your right brain will happily absorb any information thrown at it. Psychologists like Ronald Stone say that hypnosis is a technique that relaxes or distracts the left brain so that outside stimuli have direct access to the intuitive, creative right brain. That's why people under hypnosis are so impressionable. Their left logical brain is disengaged, letting everything through. So if one of those wacky hypnotists gets you to cluck like a chicken, it's because your left brain isn't keeping tabs on the information coming through and your right brain says, cluck like a chicken, you got it.
Your right brain is always down to party.
It is. The gateway process relaxes the left brain through sound waves. When the brain is relaxed enough, the amplitude and frequency of brain waves can be pushed higher and higher, and the space between your brain waves gets smaller and smaller. And when the distance between your brain waves drops below Planck's distance, it clicks out of space-time.
Up to this point, our discussion of the gateway process has been relatively simple and easy to follow.
Easy for you to say, sheesh.
Now the fun begins, as the almost continuous click-out pattern establishes itself in continuous phase at speeds below Planck's distance. But before reaching the state of total rest, human consciousness passes through the looking glass of time-space after the fashion of Alice, beginning her journey into Wonderland.
But where is Wonderland? Well, everything is energy, right? Look at McDonald's drawing. This represents our brainwave or energy wave or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. The middle of the wave, where it spends most of its time, is our reality. But at the bottom and the top of the wave, in that brief moment, just before the wave changes directions, it isn't moving at all. It finishes going up, it stops, then goes down, stops very briefly, and then back up again. It's at that point where the wave changes direction that it clicks out of our reality and, according to the Gateway Report, joins infinity and the absolute.
Energy in this state of inactive infinity is termed by physicists as energy in its absolute state, or simply the absolute. Between the absolute and the material universe in which we experience our physical existence are various intervening dimensions to which human consciousness in altered states of being may gain access. Since the absolute is conscious energy in infinity, that is without boundaries, it occupies every dimension to include the time-space dimension in which we have our physical existence, but we cannot perceive it.
Look, I know it's not easy to follow, but think of it like this. The top layer is our reality, everything that we can see and touch. That lays on top of these other dimensions, whatever they are. And all those dimensions and everything lays on top of this thing McDonald calls the absolute. The absolute is everywhere, but we can't see it. But everything happens inside it. So the absolute created our world. But who created the absolute? Well, isn't it obvious? You did. So, how's your brain?
It's goo. I'm on my third bucket.
I know, I told you this was a brain buster. So the absolute. Let me try to keep it as simple as I can.
I'm gonna need a glass of Absolute after this episode.
Pour me one too, would you? The absolute is a conscious energy field at rest.
Ah, real simple.
No, it really is as simple as that. The absolute is an energy field that sits there doing nothing. But layered on top of that energy field is the energy field that makes up our reality. And in between those, other dimensions. But the absolute is us. We are the ones who created it and everything else. Not one of us, all of us. We're born into this reality with our own individual consciousness. We live out our time here on Earth, and then our consciousness returns to the absolute, where it came from. According to the Gateway Report, we return to this collective consciousness, but we also retain our individual identity. So, immortality in a way. Colonel McDonald sees the absolute as what many people might consider God.
The concept of visible reality, that is the created world, as being an emanation of an omnipotent and omniscient divinity who is completely unknowable in his primary state of being. The absolute at rest in infinity is a concept straight out of Hebrew mystical philosophy. Even the Christian concept of the Trinity shines through the description of the absolute as presented in this paper.
McDonald also includes evidence of the absolute and the universal hologram in Eastern religions. He quotes Tibetan teachings and ancient Hindu texts. The colonel then goes on to describe the nature of absolute itself and how it's come to self-awareness, how it relates to all belief systems and all religions, and how no matter what you believe, we're all the same.
In order to attain self-consciousness, the consciousness of the absolute must project a hologram of itself and then perceive it. The absolute is the actual agent of all creation, all reality. And the eternal thought or concept of self, which results from this self-consciousness, serves the...
What? What happened? Serves the what?
Well, that sentence is at the bottom of page 24. The document resumes on page 26 with a whole different topic, and then Colonel McDonald wraps things up.
So where's page 25?
CIA says they don't have it.
They don't have the page that will unite the world, huh?
Nope, and they say they never did.
That's a bunch of bull.
For 18 years, people have been pressuring the CIA for the missing page. FOIA requests have been made, petitions have been created, all trying to get the CIA to release page 25. The CIA insisted they don't have it.
Sure they don't.
But in 2021, Vice published an article about the Gateway document and mentioned the controversy around the missing page. A few days later, the Monroe Institute released the complete report, including the mysterious page 25.
What's on it?
Well, I've linked to the complete document below, but the gist is this. McDonald says that no matter what religion or culture you're born into, the Gateway process could be a valuable tool, if not the most valuable tool ever designed, to help a person truly understand themselves and the nature of the universe itself. He says ancient mystics seem to understand the truth about the universe intuitively, and the Gateway process confirms this. Everyone on Earth is part of a collective consciousness, all placed here for the same purpose, to accumulate experiences, to learn from one another, and ultimately take that knowledge back to the energy from which we all came. He says that if we could become aware of this universal hologram, we could free ourselves from the prison of our individual lives and finally realize that at our most basic level, we're all the same.
In a military report?
Right. Colonel McDonald does eventually get back to the practical use of an out-of-body experience with respect to military strategy and intelligence gathering. But when I read his report, I feel like he gets back to business because he has to. Otherwise, this document reads like he believes in this process and believes it could really help people.
Interesting how this page was dropped by the CIA, huh?
Yeah, the message of peace and unity was conveniently absent from the CIA's file. Now, I don't know if that was an accident, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was. But accident or not, I agree it looks bad. McDonald ends his report by recommending the Army take specific steps in pursuing the gateway process, but they should move in phases. He recommends that they use the gateway tapes to learn how to synchronize their brains using hemisync, then learn to induce this state at will. And once trainees can do this, they should learn to achieve an out-of-body experience for remote viewing. He even gives some practical steps on how to verify the information being viewed is accurate. He encourages anyone learning the process to pursue self-knowledge and remove any personal prejudices that could be blocking their progress. The ultimate goal is patterning, that the military should learn to adjust reality for what he calls practical applications.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't. When you read the Gateway Report, you get the sense that Colonel McDonald could be trusted with this knowledge, but the United States military, I don't know about that. Now, you could say the U.S. only uses its military power for national defense.
You'd be wrong, but you could still say it.
Either way, I don't think any military or any government could be trusted with the gateway process. My hope is that as soldiers learn to access these different states of consciousness, they learn, as McDonald did, that the true nature of the universe is unity, not conflict.
You're quite the optimist.
Well, I try to be.
Well, here in the real world, optimists are always disappointed.
That's true, we are. So thank goodness, this isn't the real world. So what do you think about the gateway process? Is it just new age nonsense, or is there something to it? Are we just living in one aspect of reality, but with training and patience we could explore all of reality? And if you do believe there's something more out there that the gateway process could make available to you, would you try it? Now, before you answer, you should know there are risks. Now, many students of the system have said they've accessed these higher planes of reality, and their lives were drastically improved. They report more self-awareness, more creativity, and greater clarity in their everyday lives. But some students have reported intense anxiety, depression, and in rare cases, psychosis. Whether you believe in the gateway process or not, creating altered states of consciousness is absolutely possible. But when you do that, there is the potential to become detached from this reality. You could become untethered and lost, unable to find your way back. These negative outcomes are rare, but they do happen. Still, McDonald recommended that the military pursue the gateway process. Now, I don't want to reveal too much information, but Colonel McDonald is still around. He's in his 80s now and long retired, and as far as I can tell, he never wrote about the gateway process again. But I'd really love to pick his brain, to see if he really believes in the gateway process, to see if he's actually tried it, and if he did, what did he see? I'd like to ask him if he fears death, as many of us do, or if he's eager to rejoin the absolute and contribute his experience to our collective consciousness. And as he nears the end of his time in this world, does knowledge of the next world give him peace? I'd like him to tell me that he's been to the other side and there's nothing to be afraid of, that the gateway process is true. Our consciousness is infinite, and when we die, our energy returns to the absolute. Now, I'm not religious, but this sounds a lot like heaven and God. Now, maybe not a man in the sky with a boomy voice and a white beard, but God in the sense that we all come from the same source. So in a way, the gateway process could prove the existence of God or the afterlife. But people of faith don't need proof. But scientists have no use for God. They want evidence. They want scientifically provable truth. So as you're watching this right now, you might lean more toward science or more toward God. But wouldn't it be amazing if they're actually the same thing? Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. My name is AJ, that's Hecklefish.
Present.
All righty then. So he took the words out of my mouth. He took the words out of my mouth. What if the absolute actually is God? And wouldn't it be wonderful if the truth is, it is the mating of faith and science together that is the reality that we seek. Monroe went on in his interview to share certain things. He said that many of the people who experienced the out of body experiences, when they got to the other side, they were joined by a guide, an entity. Now, I know the first thing you're going to say is, oh my God, it's probably a demon or. I mean, if you think that way, that's probably what you would encounter. But after doing as much experimentation as he did, he very strongly feels that the entity that he ran into when he would leave his body and go for a ride was actually himself in an altered form of part of the absolute. And that, we're trapped in these little minds of ours trying to understand things like, I mean, we process a whole lot of stuff tonight, okay? But this is a concept, the idea that the whole world as we know it is just a hologram and we're just figments of our imagination, figments of our consciousness. I mean, there are some people who really, really, really freaking believe that. I don't know what to believe because I haven't gone to the other side, but I know people who have. And they say it is the most incredible experience of love that you've ever felt. It is love in its truest sense. There is absolutely no other emotion that you feel other than the most intense love you've ever felt. Beyond the greatest relationship you've ever had, being madly in love with somebody, this makes that look like a Girl Scout party. Monroe believed that this entity that would be his spiritual guide to go places, as he said in the beginning of the thing, you could go to Mars if you want to. He says that there are other dimensions with other galaxies and other planets where there are other living beings that aren't human beings as we are, but they are beings nonetheless, and they live out their lives much the way that we do. It's just a completely different reality for them than what we have here. And that it is possible that some souls, some spirits, whatever you want to refer to yourself as, outside of your meat suit, some people like the experience of being a human being, and that once they've lived out their life and they go back to the absolute, they decide. It always reminds me of, you remember that Woody Allen movie, Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask? And there's that wonderful scene with Burt Reynolds and Woody Allen, and they're all sperm, and they're all jumping out of the airplane together. Do you remember it? Does anybody remember this movie? Or am I the only old duffer? But only one of them is going to land and do the deal. So it kind of reminds me of that, right? I mean, you're up in that airplane and, you want to take a dive. And, there are some people who have enjoyed the human experience as we are experiencing it right now in this flesh body. They are enjoying it so much that they choose to do it over and over and over again. They, hence the Shirley MacLaines, who claim that they know they've been here before. It seems plausible. If you'd have told this to me 20 years ago, I'd have laughed in your face. But I've become a lot more open-minded in the last 10 years. I find this topic fascinating. It is something that really, really blows my mind. Um, I am practicing each and every day and each and every night, speaking personal affirmations out into the ether, stating that I am going to be a healthy, successful, good and decent person, and that I deserve goodness and good things to come my way. And if you believe that, that is what, if you believe in the power of attraction, or the secret, as that guy alluded to, what Henry Ford believed in, if you believe it, it will come to you. If you repeat it to yourself often enough, eventually you will believe it, just like the lies that George Bush used to tell. He used to say, you keep repeating a lie over and over and over again, pretty soon they're going to believe it. Well, this is the truth. If you repeat the truth to yourself over and over and over again, you will not only believe it, you will become it. It will become you. I'm going to I think I'm going to add a phone number here. Yes, I am. I'm going to add a phone number. I'm just interested in what you guys think about this topic. Is it a bunch of hogwash, a bunch of hooey? Do you think that it has merit? Do you think it is something worth considering, something worth looking into? I myself am fascinated by the subject. I can't get enough of it. I'm going to continue my journey into the unknown. I'm not strong-willed enough to say that I'm going to leave my body, but I mean, why should I limit myself? Why should I say I can't? I know people who say that they do. And I know many people who have said that they've left their bodies, they've rolled over, and they've looked down at themselves sleeping peacefully in bed, while they then turn and go for a ride. I would like to take that ride. I'd like to see what it's like. If anyone out there feels the same way as I do, I would like to hear your opinion on it. There's a number on your screen if you wish to call in and give me your thoughts. I'm as open-minded as they come. But if anyone here has actually had an out-of-body experience, man, would I like to talk to you. Man, would I like to talk to you. All right, we've got a caller. We have got a caller. Welcome aboard the mystery ship. Salty?
Hey, Zoe, it's Salty. I got some input on this topic for you.
Tell me what.
Well, a buddy of mine. I think I've mentioned him to you before. He had a heart issue recently, but nonetheless, he lives out there in Oregon, and he did this. What's that drug that makes you kind of trip out for a while and see some weird ass stuff that people use, and it's safe? Joe Rogan.
DMT?
Yeah. He did some of this stuff, and he says, long story short, without all the fantasy involved of rewording everything that he tried to convey, he was very overwhelmed. And he said for about a week, he was sitting in the front of his 72 Chevy in the front seat with a blue lady, and other people color her differently, purple, whatever. And she was his tour guide.
Okay.
And that she was trying to comfort him, saying all of this, this crazy world, everything that we're going through. is something that happens often. But don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. This is not the first time. It won't be the last.
I mean, dude, I have to kind of believe in that. I mean, that is what I would choose to believe.
At the time, I just thought, how am I going to calm this fucker down?
Yeah.
but I'm going to talk to him again. Thanks for doing this show. I am totally captivated by this topic as well, and I spend hours watching videos just like you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not out there talking to myself yet, but I'm gaining on you.
Salty, I always appreciate your phone calls, my man. Thank you for ringing in on the mystery ship, brother.
Thank you.
Very
Bye-bye.
cool. Thanks. Bye. Well, that's Salty's perspective, and I'm inclined to agree with him that whatever that entity was that was giving his buddy a tour, so, like, I think that my friend Leah, our friend Leah, said that when she first left her body, she was met by a member of her family. I think she said it was like either her grandmother or her great-grandmother, but many times this entity that is your guide appears to be like a relative of some kind. Someone you know. Who knows? It might even be another version of you. I myself, I'm just going to continue on with trying to change my level of consciousness. I'm not going to turn into a guru. I'm not going to go climb up on top of a mountain and grow a long white beard. But I do believe in the power of the human mind, and I do sincerely believe that whatever you believe will happen, you can manifest it if you start believing it. So, although I come from a family of people who, on my mother's side, they lived to be 100. My mother is 89 and fit. Other than being kind of deaf, she is fit as a fiddle. Gets up and walks 2 miles every day. My dad's side, they don't tend to live much past my age right now. But I am convinced I'm going to keep on going, and nobody's going to stop me. Nobody. Welcome aboard the mystery ship. Who do we have on the line tonight?
Hey, Brother Zoe, it's Dragon Sage. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Great to have you aboard.
I called you one other night, too. I called you and Frank in the same week a little while ago.
I remember. It's been a minute.
Like long-distance charges. Oh, my God, I got nailed by the long-distance.
Oh, no, you did?
Oh, they raped me.
Oh, shit.
But
did you?
It's so bizarre because I used to work in the telecom business, and I used to sell cheap long distance when they first deregulated it all, and I sold
the little cards,
the
international cards,
like all kinds of stuff, like not even cards, but like plans for people, like, oh, we'll be your carrier, like selling fiber optic cable or trunk lines on telephones and all this other telecom gear. And now I'm like at the mercy of Virgin, whatever my carrier is, giving me crappy U.S. long distance rates. So I better speed this up because
okay, that did happen to me once. That did happen to me once. I kind of got into a little thing with a Canadian girl back in the aughts, and we were talking on the phone like crazy for the first month, and then I got my bill and about fell out of my chair.
And you got your bill, and you were like, oh,
$1,600. Yeah.
I need a better plan.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Oh, I'm sorry to the people in chat that I wasn't chatting. My hands are sore tonight. I'm just sitting here listening, but man, what a great show! That was a fantastic episode. I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, probably since about the mid '80s, I think.
Yeah.
When I started looking at the paranormal and out of body stuff. It's all real. It's all really real. It's all what it really is. And people that do drugs a lot of times will stumble across it and unexpectedly stumble across it, and it's shocking because you're like, oh my God, everything, this relates to this, relates to this, relates to this, and it comes at you like you're drinking from a fire hose when you have those realizations. If the mind is not prepared for that, that can be devastating.
That's probably what happened to Sid Barrett from Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
you know,
man. I had a lot of friends when we were growing up here in this area. We had a lot of kids that never came back from stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, they're still like that today. They're all, they're still medicated and stuff, or whatever, or they're gone.
Yeah, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Or a lot of them are even not with us anymore. Like a lot of them, I had a bunch of friends all at once. Like a bunch of guys fell off the waterfall here locally, like within a month of each other, like from deaths.
Wow.
We were like, wow, what's going on? But there was a lot of good mushrooms and LSD in the town.
but you believe in the concept that if you're able to let go and let God, that you could in fact detach from this meat suit and go for a ride.
So I've actually had a few really amazing mystical experiences over the years, like too many to talk about. That's why I like Frank's deer episodes so much, because it's like my life has been one big deer episode. Like I've been fixated kind of on this concept since I was probably about 11 or 12 years old, where I'm noticing things in the world, and I'm kind of swinging from one moment to the next where I have these big realizations, and it's like a moment of awe and wonder, and
how fantastic!
I'm trying to keep that rolling as I go. Like, but it gets harder and harder as you get older, and as you have more responsibilities and more constraints on your life and stuff like that. It gets harder and harder, and it also is not tolerated by everyone either. So you kind of have to be careful what you say, and you don't want to disturb people. A lot of people are not open to these concepts too. Like, so I have a lot of people that just say to me, "Hey, man, I don't want to hear about it," because they think it's kind of crazy or something, right? And but
I am a 100% believer, my friend. That look at all the stuff that we are purposely inundated with from. At the televisions, the bar, the TV in the bar, at the gas pumps here in America, they have little TVs, and we are constantly hammered with bad information, negative stuff. Earthquake over here, lightning storm, hurricanes.
You said it at one, and also the guy in that last video that we just watched, and the older video at the beginning, the guy said it as well. It's like, we are like a radio. You as a human being, you're like a radio. You're like a fractal radio. And your radio that you are is tuned into a larger fractal that's like emanating from you. But this is the way to think about mortality. Ken Wheeler goes into all this kind of stuff too, and he was the one that came up with this concept, but it was like, or he described it the best, where he said that the frequency is coming through you, the transmission or whatever it is that's emanating from you is coming through you. But if you don't exist anymore, does that radio frequency or does that thing that's coming through you still exist? Of course it does. It's just coming through you. You're like the radio.
Amen.
So that's the meat suit, right? The meat suit is like the radio.
Right.
And if you destroy the radio, the station still plays on. It's still going. And, other radios could tune into it. But
amen. I think it is so important to think about what we think about, right? Think about the things we say, not to put more negativity out there, man, to just put positive, man, it's kind of like you are what you eat, but you are what you speak. If you speak the truth in love, baby, love is what you're going to get back, man.
Oh yeah,
brother, I appreciate the call, man. I hope this didn't cost you $100.
I got one quick mystical experience here.
Yeah.
Okay, on the way back up from the Grateful Dead shows in California in '92 for Jerry's 50th birthday, we were coming up the coast and we stopped in Oregon at this place called Cougar Hot Springs. And in Cougar Hot Springs, it's like this national park where they have a mountain, And going up the mountain, there's 7 springs, and they get hotter and hotter as you go up towards the top.
Wow.
So at the bottom, the pools are like nice, cool, sulfur spring pools. They got minerals in them. I think they have lithium. I think it's lithium water. So there's like these natural lithium pools, cool at the bottom, and then as you go up, it's getting a little warmer as you get to the 3rd or 4th pool. By the 5th pool, people are bailing. They're like, no, it's getting too hot. I'm not doing this anymore, and they get out.
Wow.
By the sixth pool, you only have the hardcores. That's like where the people that are like, I'm doing this. I'm staying here. I'm getting in the hot water. And the 7th pool, when I finally got there, it took me like 3 hours to like party my way up the mountain. And when I got to the top, I got to the 7th pool at the top of the mountain. So like it's really freaking hot lithium water. It's steaming. And I got into this pool, and I look around the circle in the pool, and it's like all these long-haired, bearded old dudes. Like it was like a collection of old gods sitting in the top pool.
I love it.
I get into the pool, and I lay back, and I just kind of am enjoying this really hot water coming out of the top of this hilltop. And as I lean back into the pool and look up and see the sky, all of a sudden I was like above my body, looking down at myself and these dudes in the pool, and I could see all the lower pools all going down the hillside, and I rose up into the air.
Whoa.
Out of my body, and I just like went for a cruise. So
Dude,
I went.
that is
I was like, I'm just gonna go explore. I'm gonna go see what's out here, and I like flew away from the world, like away from this place that we're in here, like, and I had a time. It was
wow, dude, that's the best freaking call I could have ever hoped for.
I mean, I had been on a big LSD bender at the Dead shows, but just before that, it was really cathartic for me. It was really good. That and going to the Grand Canyon and seeing the majesty of the Grand Canyon with my own eyes was like the most incredible experiences of my life. And there's a couple other good stories I could tell you later. But, you know.
Well.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, appreciate the call, Dragon Sage, very, very much. I hope we didn't run down your bank account.
Well, whatever, man. That's what I work for. You know, I got to have a few guilty pleasures here, but
thank you.
You and Frank are my guilty pleasures, charging up my long distance bill here.
Thank you kindly for a great call.
I think the idea of everybody all thinking groovy thoughts at 11:11 is an awesome idea.
I'm right there with you.
Every day at 11:11, if you see 11:11, just think like the most groovy things you can think, and everybody do it. And if everybody does it all at the same time,
we'll all of us raise our consciousness together.
Maybe the world could be better.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much. Great to talk
Thanks,
to you.
Thanks, so. Take care, bro.
All right.
Good night.
How freaking awesome of a call is that? He did it after ascending to 7 pools. 7 is a holy number, you know. He did it. He left his body and sitting around a bunch of old men who are the hardcore ones who actually did it. They went for it. They did it. That is incredible. Wow. What an excellent, you know what? I don't think we could end the show on a better call than that one right there. I implore you to continue to look into the subject. Let me know your thoughts, because I have just now scratched the surface on this Monroe guy. The concept I have been privy to for quite some time, several years now. But to me, it all starts with believing and knowing that your mind is the most powerful tool that you have. Use the damn thing. Don't lose it. Use it. All right, my friends, we're gonna get on out of here. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much to all the wonderful people who have donated to the show tonight. Thank you to the people who came by and hung out with us tonight. Fantastic to have you with us. Definitely fantastic to have you with us. Let's share the love a little bit. Let me get into this treasure chest and put some joy in there. Okay, I just added a little joy to the treasure chest, and we're going to release that thing, and let's see who hauls in some booty over there. Haul in some booty, you sailors. And meanwhile, you over here at Pilled Foxhole, I know that you've got a scratching ticket to scratch, so go ahead and scratch that itch. Let me shout out some names here. Spazzo Yeti with the ship. Holy. Thank you, my brother. Spazzo Yeti with the can. Spaz with the can. Girl Patriot, thank you. Due Diligence, thank you. M1911 Zoom, Doodah Man, thank you so much. Stacks, outstanding. Due Diligence again. Secret Weapon, my brother. Starface, good to see you, my friend. Patriot, Party Pod, thank you for bringing over your swarm of guests. Girl Patriot, and Due Diligence. Thanks all of you guys for helping this show get on down the road. If you want any fishing lures or fishing reels or just trips on a fishing adventure, get with Just Jim right there. He can help you out. He really can. All right. I see the gold pills they're winning some gold pills. They are winning some gold pills. What happened? I missed the chest? Did I miss the chest? Wait a minute. Okay, let's do it again. Let's It says I'm distributing in 24 seconds. Okay. It's coming. The chest is coming. Chest is coming. Well, even I won some gold pills. That's a good thing right there. Thank you to the mods for everything you do. You are one of the main reasons I'm still here on the air. Love you guys lots. Thanks a million. All right, look at that. Bad Zoot. Been a long time since I saw Kate on top of the pile there. Look at that. Good for you, darling. Lynn Winters. You've been hitting the jackpot lately. That's good. JLo17. Good to see you on there. Amethyst Cat. And Kosh56. Congrats to our winners over there in Lemonland. Great to have you aboard. All right. Your brother Zoe is going to book it on out of here. I've had enough, people. I have a job to do in the morning, and it's dark outside. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the mystery ship. Let's see if I can... What the hell? You'd think a smart guy would have these videos pulled up already, but clearly I just can't think that far ahead, you know. One day I will be a professional broadcaster, but today isn't the day. Today is not that day. So I'm going to click it to here. I think that's going to be pretty close. I'm going to go over here and sing us a song. Yep, right here. There it is. Okay. It's time to bougie. Good night, you beautiful people.
We're calling everyone to ride along to another shore where we can laugh our lives away and be free once more. But no one heard them calling, no one came at all, 'cause they were too busy watching those old raindrops fall.
interrupt this broadcast with an important message. Your Captain Zoso dude will not be here on Friday night. I am headed out of town for the next 2 days. I'm meeting up with my brother and sister for a family getaway. I will return on Saturday just in time for the rock and roll extravaganza. But there will be no Friday Night Mystery Ship, just so you know. Just so you know. Much love, everybody.
Sail